How's it going, everyone? And in celebration of the brand new Paul Heyman DVD coming out this Tuesday, I thought I would, review the DVD for you guys that pretty much was a Paul Heyman DVD. Until obviously the one coming out on Tuesday was pretty much the closest thing we got to a Paul Heyman DVD until now, which was the rise and fall of ECW. And let's not waste any time and jump right into this video. And of course, on the cover here, it's pretty simple. It just says the rise and fall of ECW with ECW in the background. Pretty simple cover here. Rated TV MA. So for anyone who wants to hear some cursing on a DVD, this is a DVD for you. Here's the spine right here, the rise and fall of ECW. Here's back. You got some pictures of some ECW footage right there. You got Paul Heyman right there. You got the Dudleys. You got Tazz. You got Raven. You got Mick Foley. You got a whole bunch of people in the back right here. And here's the description: ECW, ECW, ECW. A chant still heard around arenas around the world. Still heard in arenas around the world. ECW Extreme Championship Wrestling redefined professional wrestling in the 1990s with a reckless, brutal, death-defying, and often play style that came to be known as hardcore. It attracted a rabid, cult-like following that is still going strong today. The 6-hour two-disc set follows the rise and eventually demise of the company that raised the bar and revolutionized sports entertainment forever. Of course, here's some extras right here. You open it up. Of course, here's a 2-disc right there. There's disc 1 and disc 2. And of course, let's take the little insert out. The rise and fall of ECW. You open it up and look at all the chapters on this documentary, guys. Those are all chapters. You can go ahead and pause it because I'm not going to sit here and read it, every single one. It'll take like 5 minutes to read each and every single one. Sorry if I'm stumbling through my words. I'm actually getting excited just talking about this DVD. This DVD is just phenomenal. But yeah, look at all those chapters. That's a lot of chapters. And of course, here are the matches on disc 2 and whatnot. Again, you can just pause it and read it if you'd like. There's no point of me, going over it when you can just pause it for yourself and read it. But yeah, that's here's the back again. Pretty much the back of the DVD. But the rise and fall of ECW. Let me just keep this open. Let me just, try and make this situated or sorted. God damn. I'm going to put the DVD on top of it. Alright. So yeah, the rise and fall of ECW. This DVD is absolutely phenomenal. If you have not seen it, go ahead and watch it. It is absolutely mind-blowing. It is a very long documentary, although it goes by really, really quickly. It's almost 3 hours. I think it was like 2 hours and 56 minutes around there. So it was a very long documentary. But it's really, it goes by really quickly. I remember I actually watched this not too long ago, about a month or two ago, at like 3 o'clock in the morning. I couldn't go to sleep. And I watched it, and I stood up watching it all night and didn't, wasn't even remotely tired. I wasn't falling asleep to it or anything. It kept me up all night, and it's mind-blowing. If you want the complete history of ECW, this is the DVD. This is what, if you don't know anything about ECW, after you watch this, you'll pretty much know. I don't want to say everything, but you'll pretty much know, what happened in ECW and what went on and how popular it became. Because this is, like I said, it covers ECW. It's pretty much the history of ECW. It's pretty much what this DVD is. Like I said, a lot of Paul Heyman. This is the closest thing you had to a Paul Heyman DVD up until Tuesday when his DVD comes out. A lot of Paul Heyman in this DVD, just him going over everything. He's cussing. You hear a lot of the talent like Tommy Dreamer. Not Sabu. Tazz, the Dudleys, RVD, ECW originals talking on here besides a few, but it's mind-blowing. It goes over everything, like I said, and it's just, when people say this is the best, documentary WWE's ever produced, you really can't argue it. I mean, you can't argue it, but you can see the reasoning behind them saying that when you watch this DVD. It is just that good. Some of the highlights in this DVD, like the chapters, when I was showing the chapters earlier, it has the name of the wrestlers, like, you got Tazz, Sabu, Terry Funk, Tommy Dreamer, the Sandman. When it has chapters for the wrestlers, it pretty much just went over the wrestlers about how they came into the company and, their impact on the company. Pretty much, which I thought was really nice. It kind of profiled the guys that really made ECW what it was, the big names. And, that was a plus to me that, that highlighted the people. And, some of the highlights in the DVD they talk about, pretty much how ECW became ECW when Paul Heyman got ECW, and pretty much made it from Eastern Championship Wrestling to Extreme Championship Wrestling. He wanted to make it different. He wanted to make it stand out, so he made it ECW. And he talked about how like I said, whenever, how guys got in, like Tommy Dreamer, how Tommy Dreamer used to be, this big, jock-looking pretty boy, and, he pretty much made himself a man in ECW. He pretty much showed people that, you know what, I'm not just a pretty face, I'm actually, a man, I'm a hardcore wrestler. The match with, when he got a kendo sticked, when he told him, thank you, sir, I have another, to Sandman. That was just, everyone went crazy for that, and that was just, a moment in time that people won't forget. And, talk about how, WWE helped them out, when the cross-promotion, how, ECW was at Raw, and they had, cross-promotions, and, Jerry Lawler got involved. And Jerry Lawler pretty much, I don't want to say buried ECW, but he didn't praise ECW by any means. He kind of just put it down a little bit. But, they talked about how, pretty much ECW wasn't just a promotion, it was a family, Talked about how guys were, Stevie Richards was working the hotline of, and people would, ask him, are you Stevie Richards? And you had to tell him no. How Tazz came out with the merchandise. Tommy Dreamer would drive, the truck to get the merch and bring it to the arena. Pretty much ECW was just a family. It wasn't just a promotion. It was a family. And, talked about how, sometimes guys didn't get paid, because, Paul Heyman was just, Paul Heyman's a great booker, but, business-wise, Paul Heyman, everyone pretty much said it on here. Paul Heyman is a horrible businessman, which is why he never really got along with anyone. But, there's times where guys didn't get paid, and if they did get paid, it was very little, from what they were told. But, they still, did the job. They still, went out there and had a match and did the show because, they were loyal to ECW, they were loyal to Paul, and, they wanted to do the show regardless if they got paid or not. I talked about when, Tazz broke his neck. Paul Heyman actually paid Tazz as he was injured. He paid him at home for the 6 months he was out. He paid him because, he was loyal to Tazz and he wanted to make sure Tazz was good. And so he paid him even though he was sitting out and couldn't help the company at all. And talked about the crucifixion of the Sandman with Raven. How Kurt Angle was actually going to sign to ECW at the time. But, due to the crucifixion, Kurt Angle was highly offended because he was very religious. So, he pretty much said, you know what, hey, if you even mention my name on this show, I will sue you for everything you're worth. So, Raven actually had to come out and apologize for that. So that was pretty weird. And talked about how, getting thrown off pay-per-view because of, the guy faked his birth certificate and he was underage. And, talked about how they got back on pay-per-view. Mikey Whipwreck, talked about how he was a kid that him and his friends just volunteered to set up a ring. And they're basically just, taking bumps on the... in the ring, for fun, and Heyman pretty much said, hey, we can use this guy, and, Mikey Whipwreck became a fan favorite due to the fact that he got his ass kicked, but he took it, and he put it with a smile on his face, so that, they pretty much gained the respect of the fans from that. And, they talked about, RVD was highly offended that, the Barely Legal pay-per-view, that he wasn't even, originally supposed to have a match, he was a filler guy, and that really pissed him off. And, what else is there? I'm looking at the chapters trying to think of what else happened. The locker room mole where, was it Bill Alfonso? I'm pretty sure it might have been him. No. It was, I forgot, but there were some people backstage pretty much luring guys to WCW. And, yeah, it was Bill Alfonso, right? Was it? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. And, they were luring guys to the WCW. And, they, Paul pretty much punished them. He pretty much punished Paul Alfonso with a match with Bula. And due to how great that match was, the physicality for 5 minutes, the ass-beating that he took, Heyman couldn't fire him after that performance he had. So Heyman, didn't, fire him, so he kept him. And, they pretty much talked about Tazz. And, they talked about when guys went to WWE as well. Talked about how the Dudleys went to WWE and the last night they won the tag team titles and they lost them. How Tazz went to WWE, then he actually came back and won the ECW title. And, talked about Tommy Dreamer, how Tommy Dreamer didn't want to go. He wanted to go his entire career without winning the ECW title, but he ended up winning it and being one of the last champions. So that was good for him. Talked about the TNN deal and whatnot. They showed stuff that, they did things that they weren't supposed to do. And, CNN pretty much, or TNN, sorry, didn't like it and whatnot. And they actually cut things out. And it was funny because Paul Heyman actually, the things they did, they actually wouldn't air certain things. Like, they would stop the broadcast right before it happened. So that way they can tell TNN, like, hey, we didn't air it, so you can't, throw us off the network. So, yeah, and whatnot. But, yeah, I talked about, when RVD was the longest reigning ECW TV champion and he had to, lose a title. just because the network didn't want him being champion because he was injured, so they made him vacate the title and whatnot. And pretty much, talked about how, the Mike Awesome controversy, that's what led to Tommy Dreamer winning the title from him. And, the demise of ECW basically because they couldn't get on the network. No one pick them up, and they pretty much went bankrupt because, Paul Heyman, like I said, was a horrible businessman and didn't know how to use his money, and, pretty much made ECW go bankrupt. And then, ended with Paul Heyman debuting on Raw, talking about how he didn't want to go to WWE, but he had to, because, ECW was gone, WCW was gone, so he had nowhere else to go, so he ended up going to WWE, along with a lot of other guys, eventually down the road with him. So yeah, the rise and fall of ECW, definitely, if you've never seen this documentary, please watch it. I know it's, like I said, it's 3 hours, it's long, but trust me, it goes by quickly, and you will not regret watching this. This is a phenomenal documentary. This review doesn't do justice for this DVD. I just, highlighted some of the things. There's a lot on here that I didn't mention, but that's, I purposely don't do that. I purposely didn't do that because, you guys got to go out of your way and see this if you haven't so far. But yeah, so guys, that'll do it for this review, guys. Paul Heyman DVD coming out this Tuesday. Review will most likely be up either that day or Wednesday. Most likely Wednesday, though, for the review. But thank you guys for watching this video, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.